So, BlizzCon Day 1 is over. I don't even know where to begin. I should probably go chronologically. So, yesterday was my travel day to come here to California. I left Cleveland Hopkins Airport about 8:45. Okay, I was supposed to leave Hopkins Airport at 8:45, and actually left at 10:45, therefore missing my connection in Houston. We'll get to that in a second. So, there was a communications issue, they said, a minor technical issue, that they were having some sort of communication problem with the plane. They even rebooted the plane. They rebooted a plane, and it didn't fix it. I don't think that was a minor issue. The point was, though, it delayed us just enough that I was not able to make a connection along with several other people. Awesome. So, we leave Cleveland, 10:45, get to Houston about 2 Houston time? No, that's way too long. It was about a 3-hour flight. They're in Central Time. Okay, it was about 12:45 Houston time. I was supposed to be leaving Houston at 11:45 Houston time to go to California. So I ended up arriving over an hour late. So we get to Houston, and then they book me on standby. I've never been on standby before. I've never had to miss a connection like that. So that was a little weird. At the time that they got me to Houston, the flight that I was going to take to Anaheim was like half empty or something like that, like way empty. That wouldn't be any trouble. By the time the flight actually boarded, it was full. Like full. Like there was only one seat open full. And the ticket agent and I were trying to decide whether or not, well, this is a little secret between you and me, but Joe's a big guy. So it was basically whether or not Joe would be able to comfortably get into this chair or not. He initially wanted to charge me $670 to buy a second seat. Now this is, of course, the typical large passenger getting 2 seats. Now, I've not had to do it when I bought the plane ticket. Some reason, there was a couple times I've flown to California on someone else's ticket or someone else's dollar. They were able to get a couple of seats together for me. You know, comfortable mainly, but as long as I had the seatbelt extender, generally I'm okay. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but I'm okay. I don't know about the passengers next to me, like the angry Asian lady when I was coming back from Hawaii. Anyway, did make it finally to California. Got my suitcase, get on the bus, van, and make it to the hotel, check in, settled in. This is really a no-tell motel. It's really in the details, the small things that you would think would be, not wrong when I got here. Where do I start? The light in the bathroom doesn't work. There's one of those timer lights that you can, to determine how long it's going to be on. I never really figured out what those are for. So you can turn that one on, but the actual, switch, flip, nothing. It's probably a burned light bulb. And, just before I started recording this, I tried to turn on that light there. No light bulb. That one had one. Now this one does. Ha! I'm doing maintenance in my own hotel. The paint is chipped in here or there. What else? The main thing that was the light doesn't work. The light doesn't work. Why? Oh, yeah. And the alarm clock, can't set it. The hour button to set the alarm or change it doesn't work. Minutes one works. Hour doesn't work. So my clock is currently set to Eastern time. At least the outlets work. And I have a bunch of things to charge. I have this thing, I have my phone, I have my shaver. I have a lot of things to charge. Not a whole lot of plugs that are at least easy to access, or at least, aren't near water. So, anyway, after I finally do get settled in, it's about, let's see, I got in at like 5:30. Yeah, I got in about 5:30. I was expecting to get in, 11-ish. 12, maybe. It doesn't sound right. I had to check my texts, because this kind of was chronicling the entire trip so far. Messages, outgoing. I've sent a whole lot of them today. No. No, I lost that text. But anyway, it was probably more like 4:30. So, yeah, I left Houston about 2:30, got to California local time about 4:30. So about 4:30 still. I was expecting to come in about like 11:30 to noon. My plan was that I would check in if I could, which, considering the state of this room, I probably could have. Check in, get settled, put my luggage away, and then get in line for my badge. Well, it turned out that my waiting was done in Cleveland instead. So, after I settled in, I got changed and headed over to get my badge, which is totally cool. It's got my name. It's got my character's name, although you can barely tell that that's a D there because of the font that they decided to use. But hey, Kerrigan and Thrall. It's pretty cool. And a whole bunch of other goodies that I think I'll probably get into later. The main thing, though, is this giant box that has a Tyrael figure in it, and wow, I have no idea how I'm going to get that home. Very carefully. Anyway, it was no trouble getting my badge at that point in the night. At that point, it was about, because it was a long ride from the airport to here, because we were in the middle of LA rush hour. I didn't actually get to the hotel until about 6. Got on the van around 5. We waited until 5:20 so it would load up a bit. I didn't get to the hotel about 6 or so. So, getting to the line for the badge was about 6:30. And the line, honestly, was not a problem, because at that point, the only thing that really had a line were the poor fools that had to change their name. Change names, switch over, other problems. That line was going super slow. And my line, where we had our barcodes, we had our IDs, everything was good. It just kept chugging through. Just keep walking, show your ID, get your barcode scribbled on, and go get your bag of stuff. Simple. So I did get my bag of stuff in like 20 minutes after I set out to go get my stuff. It was great. So at this point, I finally started getting hungry. Well, not really hungry, but hungry, because I did have Wendy's while I was in Houston. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be here for a few days. I might as well try one of these restaurants that are between me and the convention center. It's like maybe a mile, 3/4 to a mile walk between my hotel and the doors of the convention center. Not too bad. Flat. So it's not a big deal. But between here and there are a couple of restaurants, and I decided to try Tiffy's. That was actually pretty good, reasonable. Got chicken parm for dinner. The main thing, though, was their ice cream. Fantastic ice cream. I had a double scoop Rocky Road. And that was pretty much how I concluded my day at that point. Sugar high and jet lagged. Typical. So, get back here and watch TV for a little while just to try and get reset towards Pacific time a little bit. Watching CSI, where a guy got eaten by a tiger. CSI New York. Nasty. Not really what I wanted to watch right before bed, but I don't have a guide here, so I was just trying to find something. And it was like the third time I watched Mythbusters that day. Oh, by the way, because I got delayed, I got free TV, direct TV on the flight to California, and I decided, or to Houston, and I decided, what the heck, I'll watch Green Hill Lantern again. I couldn't really hear it very well because I don't like those earbuds. And watching it the second time, still not that good. I do want to see the extended cut sometime, but I don't want to pay for it ever again. So yeah, that was yesterday. Today, we'll just go in chronological order. After I got up, had my energy bars. I've been trying not to have multiple meals just to save a little bit on cash. So I've been subsisting on water, and energy bars. They're actually not bad. Peanut butter and oats. And I didn't feel hungry until like 3 o'clock. Just had another one. And then I had dinner at about 7:30, 8 o'clock. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so I make it to the convention. And first thing I see, Kerrigan. You gotta love Blizzard's commitment to this convention. They have statues of their characters everywhere. I got some footage of Kerrigan, and that was mainly for Faye. I think I say that on the clip. And I'm walking away from Kerrigan and heading for the main stage, because I was basically planning on spending the day there at the main stage, because they had the opening ceremony, they had the WoW preview, they had the WoW talent preview, the dungeon preview, and then the Diablo gameplay. So all these panels that I was interested in seeing, I pretty much did, spent the whole day there in the main stage area just to be the first, I guess. It's really cool, but and we'll get to that in a little bit later. But so yeah, I'm walking away from Kerrigan and get stopped by this crew that said, "Hi, we're from Jimmy Kimmel Live, and we were wondering if you would like to do a shoot with us." And I, of course, went, yes. I haven't actually watched Jimmy Kimmel since he changed over to doing his own show. I watched him on Man Show a little bit. But, so, I don't know if the guy that was with me was with them or was another BlizzCon attendee that they shanghaied into this. He was interviewing me. He had spiky shoulders. He had this huge axe. And he's interviewing me to start off with. And the obvious question, well, do you have a girlfriend? No, unfortunately. Shocking, I know. And they set it up that he looks me straight in the eyes and goes, "Joe, I promise you, by the end of today, we are going to find you a girl." He smacks me in the chest with his axe, turns away, "Girls!" runs off, and I just kind of look confused after him, go, "Girls?" And that was the end of that part. They asked if they would be able to call me later. I didn't, unfortunately, tell them that I was going to be in the panel, so I wasn't going to be able to take the call until in between. So, yeah, at that point, it's like, that was interesting. I might be on Jimmy Kimmel. Started sending out, letting people know what was going on, letting Facebook know, the Facebooks. And so, yeah, after that, I just settled in for about an hour on, probably I could have gotten some better seats than where I ended up ultimately waiting. I was back, like 2 sections back, way to the right of the stage area, or the way to the right, stage left whatever. The opening ceremony is always the time where Blizzard makes its big announcements. There was not really any huge announcements that weren't WoW related. I was expecting, like, they've always been talking about, like, the next StarCraft release date, Diablo release date 2012 probably, but nothing pinned down. So they were planning on announcing the next expansion, which was pretty much expected, but the question was what was going to be included. What really blew me away, though, was this WoW annual pass. Like, if you're already planning on paying for WoW for a year, sign a contract that you will pay for a year, can be billed monthly, and oh, hey, by the way, we're going to give you free stuff and free Diablo 3. Free Diablo 3. Wow. See, there's always these things going around about, oh, this game is going to kill WoW. Blizzard is just in for the money. They're behind the times with microtransactions and free-to-play and freemium and blah, blah, blah. And this could be huge. It really shocked me, and I think shocked a lot of people. Of course, well, what else is it going to be? You know, besides a free game, a free $60 game. But wow. It seems appropriate. Just amazing. Unbelievable. Wow. So, the other big news, of course, Mists of Pandaria. We've known about the title for a few months, ever since they did the trademark. That pretty much gave away that, yes, the Pandaren, the pandas, were somehow going to be involved in the next expansion. Heavily. It's just really interesting because they kept sticking with that pandas were too strange or just a joke or an Easter egg, that they couldn't or wouldn't implement them into WoW. And, well, there's been a whole lot of things that they said they would not or could not do and have been doing lately, which I guess is a good thing. So, yeah, pandas. I don't think I'm going to play a panda specifically. I am interested in the monk class. It's a leather melee class that can do any 3 roles. It can do DPS, it can do healing, it can tank. So a super hybrid like a druid or paladin. That's pretty much what I expected, that if they're going to add another class, it would have to be something that could do multiple roles. But the thing that was really... I guess it was kind of telegraphed for a while that Blizzard was not happy with how WoW's talent system was working out. They've been talking about how they wish they could have done it like Call of Duty, where you have perks and things, where it was simple but still interesting choices at every level, or something like that. I've never actually played Call of Duty. So they've revamped the talent system completely. Like, the system that as it is now has been completely tossed out. That was based on Diablo 2 quite a bit. Diablo 2 doesn't even have that system anymore in Diablo 3. Diablo 3 is going to be, well, more like this. More like what WoW was turning to, where you'd have a set number of things to pick from in Diablo. In WoW, it's more, here are 6 tiers. Every 15 levels, pick 1 from each of these, from the tier. So you can't double dip into any tier, which is interesting because it lets them do powerful stuff that you don't have to have like a throwaway tier just to get to a higher tier where the good stuff will be. There's good stuff like all the way through, and they've baked into your spec choice a whole lot of stuff. So you don't have to talent for abilities or anything. It's all there once you choose to be a Beastmaster Hunter, to be a Holy Paladin, whatever. And that is interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing like final versions of it. From what I saw from later, after the later panel about it specifically, it does look solid. That this is something that WoW can stick with and let it grow without having to go back and keep revamping every expansion or two, hopefully. But it does look fun, because you can go, oh, well, in this tier I want to have this ability, because it's fun. Not because it's the best, not because it's a slight DPS or whatever, because it's just flat out fun. For me especially, you can set to have just passive things. You don't have to have these rechargeable things that will, you have to activate them all the time. You can just simply pick the passive ones instead, with different effects, but still useful. So, talents. Oh, yeah, WoW Pokemon. See, that's an interesting thing about this whole thing. You can, called Pokemon, make an entire game based on collecting pets that battle each other in a turn-based setup in a team of 3. And go out into the world at certain times, at certain days, at certain points in the year to collect these unique pets. Collect them, level them up, fight with each other. Yeah, WoW is just going to add that into the game that they already have. Holy crap. I'm not going to be able to get away from this damn game. I swear to God, I am never going to be able to stop playing. I really want to use a creepy box. A creepy crate. Creepy crate is going to be the star of my team. I can see it already. It's going to have Slurp. So, yeah, the pet battle system, the new PvE stuff is very fascinating to me, because it seems like either you would raid or you would PvP. Well, I don't like PvP, and I'm currently not in a active raiding guild. I want to be in one, preferably on my server, because I really don't want to leave the server behind. But honestly, if I really want to be in a raiding guild, I'm going to have to. Or with the upcoming system of Raid Finder, I can just simply keep playing and then occasionally step in there to raid. But the scenarios and higher level, what do they call it? Challenge dungeons. Where, okay, beat this dungeon in X minutes. And you do it in this many minutes, you get a gold medal. You can trade those in for cosmetic stuff, basically. And that's interesting. The really interesting thing, though, is that it throttles your gear, throttles your power level. And that, finally, is content that will not go away, that will not be blown through as we keep adding expansions. It really was time for that. Probably should have been introduced earlier. Wow, Blizzard's always talking about how they spend all this time and energy on their content, but then only so many people see it, like Firelands, for instance. They were not happy with how many people had killed their way through the Firelands, so they nerfed the entire instance. Some people thought it was too early. If they want a bunch of people to see it, then yeah, they have to do this eventually. But this content, collecting medals to turn in for cosmetic, basically, cosmetic goods that sets you at a certain level. So your damage is reduced, your healing is reduced, your health is reduced, etc., etc., etc. You can't outgrow that. Like, there's no point where you're level 90, level 100, level 200. You can always do this challenge because it always brings you down to 50. No matter what you set out to be, you're always going to go to 50. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And it sounds like a lot of fun. Like, if you have a group of people that, a group of 5, which for the longest time I mainly had was a group of 5, as opposed to a group of 10 that I was playing with regularly. Was a group of 5, and if we had this back then, I don't know. We all would probably still be playing. This is back in Burning Crusade when they forced 40-man guilds to go into a 10-man instance and then into the 25-man instances. A lot of these things that keep shifting over the years. But that's a good thing. And then the scenario where it's almost a group quest with extra goodies, where you don't have to have a tank, you don't have to have a healer. You can have 3 DPSers go do it, which is awesome, because there's a lot of us DPSers out there that can handle being an off tank, even for a short time, as long as we just have a little bit of support. Not enough for a heroic dungeon, but you can do it. So being able to do that for extra goodies is very good. That it's going to be easy to do stuff with that. Get Valor points, get actual useful gear, and not have to do it in raiding or a specific composition. So yeah, that looks like good stuff. I'm fairly optimistic about the state of the game at this point. The 4.3 will introduce this raid finder so that if you really want to raid, there is an easier level to get started in and get a chance at some gear that you can then therefore take and upgrade with. And of course that'll be across all of the servers in North America or whatever region. So I don't know what the average queue time will probably be for it, but I think it'll be similar to what we're seeing now, or even better. Like we're seeing now, probably depending on the time of day. Like if it's not prime time, I could have a queue of 20 to 30 minutes on my Hunter Trib. Just to get some Valor points, honestly. And we blow right through it. As long as everyone has some semblance of, what the boss fights are. With this, it'll be 25 people, but the composition that more closely matches what the player base actually is. A lot of DPSers. 60% DPS. We like to DPS. It's just a matter of how it is. Killing stuff is fun. Now, yeah, some people like to tank, some people like to heal, but not nearly as many as who like to punch things in the face. So, yeah. Speaking of punching things in the face, they talked a lot more about the Pandaren, how they were pretty much hiding behind this mist, hence Mists of Pandaria, for 12,000-ish years. Excuse me. The Pandaren themselves will not be able to be any of the other super hybrids. They won't be able to be druids or paladins. And interesting enough, there will not be Pandaren Death Knights. Interesting. Very interesting. Because the last time new races were added in Cataclysm, there was almost a story loophole that let there be Worgen, Goblin, Death Knights. The Pandaren have been really isolated for such a long time that Arthas never had a chance to get them. I don't know. I don't know if I expect that there will be Death Knights down the road or those other classes. But for the new Pandaren class, the Monk, which is the melee leather, they are basically everyone except the Cataclysm races, the Worgen and Goblins. I have to have a gnome monk. A gnome monk. Yes, it's gotta be. It's gotta happen. And because of my love for night elves, I want to get a night elf monk too. Yeah, that was the classes. Talents I talked a bit about. Diablo. There wasn't a whole lot new from the Diablo panel, really. It was more of a... Well, at least it wasn't new to me. I had recently checked Diablo's website, and they had added a whole lot of this information about, like, 14 tiers of gems that you'd have people following you, like your blacksmith, your mystic, and they would themselves level up, and there would be recipes. Like, none of this was really new information, which I think at this point Diablo is pretty much finished. It's more a matter of polish and PvP, like PvP balancing, which I'm pretty sure is why they had it. They have it playable here at BlizzCon, 4 versus 4 teams, for a team deathmatch, which is pretty standard. Kill as much as you can. Not a matter of, well, once you die, you're done. You just respawn. Deathmatch is always fun. I don't think I'm going to play it. I'm not good at PvP in general. I'm not very comfortable in PvP in a character that I'm familiar with. This would be a character that I'm completely unfamiliar with. I might try it. Depends what the line is. When I was looking today, the line was wrapping all the way around. For Mists of Pandaria, I had to wait maybe 5 minutes. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go back and play Mists again, just to try another shot at getting goodies. They have loot boxes in the game that'll drop like posters. Well, maybe I shouldn't. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that poster home. So, yeah, after the opening ceremony and after the preview, where they were talking more about the monks, Pandaren, the pet battles, the new talents, dungeons, etc., etc., I checked my phone, and I've got 3 missed calls. I don't recognize the numbers. I bet I know who called. Yeah, it was the Jimmy Kimmel guys. They're hoping to do a little bit more filming, but I had to respond quickly because they weren't going to be able to stay at BlizzCon much longer. So I left my backpack that I've been carrying around with my buddies that I had met there and dashed off to try and find them. And I did find them. We did a bit more recording. That'll be Monday night, the 24th. I don't know how much of the sequence will be me, and not a whole lot. I didn't film very much. It was going to be mainly the guy with the armor and axe, probably talking to various cosplayers. There's smoking girls, I swear to God. Lost my train of thought. I'm thinking of boobs. So yeah, I filmed with them a little bit longer. It should be pretty funny. From what we were doing, I think it will be pretty hysterical. I'm hopeful, but I know it's going to probably happen, that I'm not cast as the, well, there's our geeky guy with no girlfriend. Let's watch. It probably will be, but played for laughs, so, whatever. So yeah, the talent panel was just beginning when I ran off. So when I came back, they had already talked a little bit about the classes. They talked about Death Knights and Druids, and as I was coming in, they just started talking about Hunters, which I really had to know the Hunters, because, that's my main class. So that was really good timing. But that hall is big. You look at the map, it's like, oh, look at that. It's just a short little time. No. This convention center is big. I went all the way from the bathrooms between A and B back to D. For anyone that's actually been in the Anaheim Convention Center, between halls A and B, those bathrooms there, all the way back across to hall D, where my backpack and people were waiting. worth it though. I think it'll be pretty funny. So they did the talents, went through all. It looks really interesting what they're looking at doing for the various classes. Hunters are losing their melee weapon, which I think honestly it's about time that their ranged weapon will be their weapon. So I'll be able to smack you with the butt of my gun as opposed to this druid staff that I'm holding for some reason. The ranged slot is gone completely. People that still use them, like rogues or hunters, or rogues and warriors, will just throw their weapon, their main weapon, as opposed to needing a thrown weapon. Relics are gone. It's probably time. It's just one of those things where it's like, there's just this extra stuff that WoW has had that has just stuck around and wasn't really being compelling gameplay, you know, or was just sort of grandfathered in, and at some point you just have to knock all those grandfathered bits out and replace them with something better. So yeah, now that I can shoot things in point blank range, finally, it should be interesting to see how that balances out. Like, a lot of the whole point of having that minimum range is so that hunters would have a weakness in melee, that they would have to get out of melee or suffer a massive loss to damage. Again, this is a lot of PvP stuff, so this might actually make hunters viable, like, across the board, because being in melee is not going to reduce them to the point of uselessness. They'll still be able to shoot you in the face with a bazooka. The other little hunter bit is that pet talent trees will just be selected. You'll pick a cunning, ferocity, or tenacity, so I can finally have my army of cats. I can have my rip your face off cat and the I will not get my face ripped off by you cat. They said this new talent system will be changeable easily. You won't have to, like, as easy as specs or as glyphs, so that you can just swap them pretty much. You probably will have to go back to town or a trainer to change from one spec to another officially and pay gold for that part. But the system overall looks good. I'm fairly optimistic that this one's going to end up working nicely for a while, and, you know, not have all these weaknesses that the talent points do, because it's still in the game. Yeah. After I went to Diablo, there wasn't really any new info. Met a girl, Angela, there, go figure, and her friend Joe, again, go figure. She just ended up taking the seats that were vacated by my buddies, because they went to go watch some StarCraft, I'm guessing, the pro stuff that's going on. And she just took one of the chairs and was like, oh, hey, hi, how you doing? Oh, you're very excited about Diablo. Oh, yes, I'm very excited. How about you? Oh, yeah, you know. Oh, by the way, my buddy Joe. Hi, I'm Joe, by the way. Oh, I'm waiting for Joe, too. Oh, of course. What was I saying? Oh. But yeah, after Diablo, I was just trying to decide, well, what do I want to do now? They started to do a couple of questions, like one question about the real money auction house, where you can, like, how many auctions you could do for free without ever having to put in a credit card or anything, which I think is a legitimate question, because this is an auction house for virtual goods for real money. Whether it would be truly free. And what they're looking at, yeah, you'd have a weekly number of free auctions, so you can get some money into the system without actually paying anything. which is, I think, very good. Well, I'm still a little bit conflicted on this system. On the plus side, you won't see people trying to buy or sell items for real money through the shady, like gold sellers sort of deals that we still occasionally see in WoW. Although at this point I think they're pretty much a dying breed. They're much better at just hacking stuff now. Blizzard, yes, will take a cut of it if you want to get any actual money out. But you can play Diablo for free if you have the WoW annual pass, and you can pay for your WoW with the money you make from Diablo. I mean, you play enough Diablo, get good enough at it to put stuff up regularly, you can play Blizzard's game, both WoW and Diablo, for free. Like, free, just time. That's it. So, I guess I would kind of make it freemium, but in a completely roundabout way, by actually playing the game. Kind of Eve-ish, where you can trade money for their game card item, or whatever the heck it is, pilot license. Like, if you're really good at the game, then you can play it well enough that you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay. Someone else put that money in at some point, but you don't have to pay. It seems like a good deal to me. I worry that the prices will be so low that in order for it to be viable, you would have to spend a whole lot of time in Diablo to get enough, for the monthly annual pass. Like, I'm assuming it's going to be similar to what, like, the 6 month is now, where it's like $13 a month-ish for 6 months. So you pay $72 and you're in for that long. So it'd probably be like 13 or 12 a month equivalent. I'm just worried that items will be costed so low. It really depends on like what the market ends up deciding that they're worth. I just worry that it's going to be like, oh, well, I can sell this legendary for $0.25. Now I just have to find 60 more. It's going to be weird, and I know there's going to be so many exploits of it, like people breaking the system to crash the market or something. That's my really main concern. So someone will find some loophole, crash it, and then you'll be screwed. Well, screwed in that you just have to pay for the game with real cash instead of time spent into the game. But if it works securely, and if it's not a huge amount of work, I think it's good. I think it could be very good. I mean, you could accumulate enough money to pay for a BlizzCon ticket, maybe. Probably not, but maybe. So, yeah. After Diablo and the real money and all that good stuff, I went over to play the Panda starting zone. I played, of course, the standard Panda monk, called him I Know Kung Pao. I don't know how many people were on our server. It looked like there was probably several instances, or at least a couple of instances, because, well, it might have been all just one big instance, and they were just making sure to send like 10 at a time, so that or 12 at a time, or 20 at a time, so the starting zone didn't get crushed with a rush of people all at the same time. I got to about level 7. The monk is interesting. They have an energy resource called chi. Of course, they're Pandaren monks. Well, monks in general. It regenerates like energy. You spend that on your basic attacks. Jab, for instance, was the one that we had. And then the jab gives you light energy and dark energy, which works for the Pandaren, being all about this balance, where you then spend the energy on your actual moves, on your actual punches, your actual kicks, your whirling roundhouse kick type things. It felt good. It felt really solid. Because honestly, I don't know how many other resource types there could be besides, well, pretty much rage and energy. Where you have rage, well, mana as well. You have rage that builds up as you do stuff, and then you spend that to do other stuff. Energy, which just keeps constantly generating. Focus is similar to energy. And then you have mana. You start at a set amount and then slowly spend it to do stuff. I don't know off the top of my head of any other resource types that really could be done. Like, they add layers on top of it, like with the light and dark energy for monks, or the rune system that Death Knights use. But even them, they have rage and energy, pretty much. You have runic power that you build up to spend, and then your runes that are spent and slowly regenerate themselves. Basically, it's a rage and energy. So, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know what other resources they could really use for whatever next class ends up coming into the game, if any more classes come into the game. Like, Monk has been wanted for so long, and it's in. And nearly every race... Ooh, did I just pick my nose on this camera? I totally picked my nose on my... And then you have the Monk, which can be played by just about every race. And I don't know what I was going to say. I don't know what other resource they could use. I think at this point they've pretty much stretched energy and rage type resources to their limit without feeling homogenous. And that's a really tough thing to do. We now have 11 classes in this game. 11 classes. And they still all feel pretty unique. Even this new Monk that has, all three class ability, all three class roles somewhere. Punching things in the face, letting themselves get punched in the face, and healing you while I punch this guy in the face. It should be interesting, by the way, the Monk style healer as a gnome. So yeah. Oh yeah, did I mention that you can be either Alliance or Horde? You probably knew that. So yeah, after all that, I played Mists for a little while, looked around at the shinies, and went to have some food, because I was just kind of tired out. Came back here after. Had food at Coco's. Had, oh, that's not going to work. Had a bacon cheeseburger. It was pretty tasty, honestly. And then this troll came in. She's got the full makeup, the wig, the purple wig, the blue skin, the imp ears, which if you play City of Heroes, you know which ones I mean. And it's really funny to me to watch the mundane world's reactions to us convention types, especially us that are in costume. Because I've been asked twice now, well, what's going on? Well, it's a gaming convention. Oh, okay. You would think that these people would at least know that, oh, hey, there's a convention down the street, you're probably going to get busy. Well, I guess the hotels know, but I don't know if anyone tells, the restaurants or anything, if they're not aware. But yeah, she walks in, and there's this little girl sitting right behind her. She's like, and staring. Little girl. She was maybe 3, and she can't stop staring. finally, the mother picks her up and then takes her to the troll girl. Says, "Excuse me, could we get a picture with you?" And she, of course, agrees. She's cute too, Asian. And then the little girl's being all shy about it. The troll girl is smiling and trying to encourage her to smile too. It's just adorable. It's like, "Aw, you're sitting with a troll." You know trolls are carnivorous, right? They can also be cannibals. Nah, never mind. Yeah, it's just always funny to see the convention audience go back into the real world, and the real world try to react. Well, real world, mundane world. Let's go with Muggle world. Muggle world? Muggle world. Going back into the Muggle world and being reacted to as if they're freaks or whatever. Something you don't see every day. That's true, you don't see these conventions every day. The costumes especially. It doesn't mean that they're not awesome. It's just like, that's not something you see every day. I love that part. I don't know why. It's like, like that kind of like it every, I enjoy watching that. I think I want to do a lot more filming tomorrow, by the way. See if I can get some shots of some of these costumes, like the Shadow Warden that I kept seeing, or I was sitting behind. She was amazing, because it's the full body armor. She had the cape, she had the weapon, she had the helm. Unbelievable. Just shocking, the amount of work that goes into these costumes. They have so much more ambition than I do. Like, if I have a costume, it's going to be, I'm going to put a spring and then put an exclamation point on my head. That's it. I'm done. My costume is that I'm an NPC. It'll be like, "I want your quest." "Okay, give me money." They give me money. "All right, I'm going to give you experience. Never give a stranger money," and then walk away. I think it'd be hysterical. And then I could come back and give them money back, because that's the kind of guy I am. But that would be my costume. I would be this asshole NPC. Or I'd be like, "Oh, thank you, hero, for stopping to talk with me." And they'd be like, trying to skip the conversation. "You can't skip this conversation. Now I have to start over." And if I could just keep a straight face through it, I think it would be hysterical. That's if I ever return. Yeah, I am enjoying it. I am having fun. Seeing all this stuff, seeing these great people playing these games that I won't get a chance to for months. Now, granted, they're not in any sort of finished state, but I still get to play it. I still get stuff that I would never get anywhere else. We'll figure out tomorrow, probably for sure, whether or not I decide that I'm going to try again, like for next year's BlizzCon. I think a lot of it, though, is based on who you travel with. Like, I was meeting these buddies here, but they're already in a large group that they're hanging out with. Like, they're, from the same ship. So they already have these connections. I was just this guildie that they only had for a couple of months, that we just happened to be in the guild at the time when BlizzCon was, tickets were going on sale. And through the three of us, were all going. Like, there wasn't any sort of deep connection, So yeah, if I don't know. We'll see. Going to be around the floor tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'm going to be going around to booths, standing in lines, because I spent today pretty much just sitting in the main room, when really I could have just gotten a virtual ticket. See, that's the thing that keeps bugging me, that there wasn't really anything I saw today, aside from the Jimmy Kimmel bit, that I couldn't have seen from home via the pay-per-view. Well, it's DirecTV, so I couldn't have done that, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I'm probably not going to put this part on. I don't want to negatively think about it just yet. Negative thoughts are kind of standard. Anyway, that'll be it for tonight. I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow for BlizzCon Day 2. Have a good night. Peace.